case ever in the history of the game. No teams won past 400 in India. So everything stacked in favor of South Africa at the moment.
Yeah, it's close now. Has to be close now. Plenty runs on the board. If it's not close, there should be a glove sent out now to say to the boys, let's get on the 24 runs away from the 500 mark. That's a lot of runs. But then still give yourself enough time to bowl India out. That's the key thing right now. We lose light. South Africa are going to have one to be able to use the potential chance of a second new ball. Fall 2 wickets short, and that's the end of at the end of the match. There's a lot of runs on the board right now. I doubt India will even think about actually going for it. South Africa must surely think of trying to do this, because it'll put them in the driver's seat in the World Test Championship table. 2 wins overseas, 3 wins in the last 4 Test matches out of South Africa.
Also, up India 2-0. I think that's a great feeling to leave the shows with, or even go to the next format, which is the ODI series, which is at the end of the 6th match series. Still the captain. There's a lot of momentum going forward if they can get a victory out of here.
It's 189 for 4. At the moment, Australia 100% record. South Africa could win another one with the prime position.
Yeah.
Also, if you're South Africa, you are going to expect India to put up a better resistance. India, if they again to put up a resistance, would be the other Washington Sundar. Stonewall them for a while, but you would expect that India put up a bigger resistance, and themselves are trying to make a match out of it, because it's everything to gain for India. The arm yourself with enough overs. They're oiling their fingers right now. They get a goal on this. Henry Muthuswamy yesterday. I think he warmed up more than he got to bowl. 4 5 overs of warm-ups to get a 2-over spell, and that to stop twice.
And we think Washington bowled to the right-handers today, and he's caused some trouble with the gap once of the structure. You feel with the sand, he can get used against left-handers. There's an aggressive shot by Bjorn Mulder. A little bit of offered by Jadeja. Bjorn Mulder said, I'll have a little bit of that, thank you. Slap through covers for 4. At the over, 194 for 4. This test was in Manchester, of India's tour of England. in a commanding position, and India batting into the second innings. Here, there, Washington and Australia, batting through the last session. Save the game, and then India going on to win the next day, so draw 11 in the series. A couple of good shots. Yeah, Boulder moment is coming. Turn and then it's actually on the up. Not an easy shot to play. Punch it on the offside for another boundary. Slightly shorter this by Washington. Left that gap open in the covers, wanting the South Africans to drive so you can go through that gap between bat and pad. On this occasion, just dragging his
Recording in progress.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning to the Minister and the official from the department. Chair, the time is 10:30. We do have a quorum. You can start the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ola. Let me take this opportunity to greet honorable members of this August House, honorable Minister in our midst, the officials of the department indeed. Let me take this opportunity to extend our greeting as a select committee on science and technology. The time is exactly now, as we are correctly raising, that we can proceed with our meeting. Honorable Minister, you are welcome in this meeting. Our meeting usually starts at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, but due to the request that we have made to these honorable members, they adhered to the call and understanding indeed the schedules that we are having. So our meeting will proceed as planned. Thank you very much, honorable members. Can we flight the agenda for the sake of convenience, Mr. Kula, so that all of us we are on the same level. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Kula. Can we adopt the agenda, honorable members, as flighted in front of us? Honorable members, can we adopt the agenda?
Chair, Honorable Du Plessis, hands up, Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Du Plessis.
Chair, I move to adopt the agenda. However, just one typo at the discussions that we make at 12:30 and not 12:10, because we end the presentation at 12:30. So if there's a time discrepancy in the document, thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable member. Any agenda?
Chairperson, my hand is up. It's Honourable Breed. I will second with that amendment as proposed by Honourable Du Plessis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. My gadget is not showing the. I will ask Honorable Kula to assist me on that way. On that one. Okay, can we, Honorable Mr. Kula, get the apologies first?
My hand was up but covered.
Yes, Mr. Kula, can we? Well, on apologies, I will take that as an proposal to adopt the apologies, Mr. Mukwele.
Honorable Chair, I'm sorry to be interrupting. Can you hear me?
Yes, Honorable Minister, I can hear.
My apologies.
Hear you.
Yes, greetings to all the colleagues, honorable members. Chair, I've just received a bad message that I've lost my aunt this morning. So I was requesting that perhaps you could release me earlier, perhaps around 11:30, in order to go and see the family. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no. Honorable Minister, I think you are loud and clear, and as the committee indeed, we are sharing your bereavement that we have just received. We are we do not have any reasons of not granting you, because family is very important, especially our aunts as Africans. It's something that we always appreciate. You see the Honorable Minister. So we are sharing our heartfelt condolences with you, Honorable Minister, and your family. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You will be accorded as requested. Can we also get other apologies, Honorable members?
Chair, I said it's only Honorable Agrianse that she's been admitted to the hospital. That's the only apology I have, Chair.
Oh, shame. Also, Honorable Agrianse, we will make the necessary engagements just to ensure that Honorable members, Honorable Agrianse, is comforted also in hospital as a committee. We know she has been very, very engaging and also amongst us on all our programs in ensuring that our people are getting better services. So we will make a follow-up. Can we get a second of apologies, because Honorable Mokwele have made already a proposal for the adoption of apologies.
Chairperson, Honorable Finis, greetings to you as the Chairperson, Honorable Minister, as well as all Honorable members, as well as the staff and a delegation from the department. I second the proposal of Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Honorable Finis. Honorable Minister, without even wasting the time, can we allow you understanding, Honorable Minister, that you are confronted with the bereavement of your family member? Once again, we are with you, Honorable Minister. The floor is yours, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me greet all the honorable members and other participants and observers in this committee meeting. And thank you very much for your kind and comforting words, Chairperson. Thank you for the opportunity, as always, which we appreciate, to come and brief the committee on our annual report for the year 2024-2025. There is no doubt that science, technology, and innovation are essential for a country's ability to meet its developmental goals and the needs of its citizens. I often make the point that in the era we are in, a country that doesn't invest in development of its science, technology, and innovation, STI capabilities, simply doesn't take the well-being of its citizens seriously. As honorable members may be aware, our work as the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation is primarily guided by our 2019 White Paper on Science, Technology, and Innovation, as well as our decadal plan, which is our 10-year plan for science, technology, and innovation, 2022 to 2032. Let me just perhaps give background to what is going to be presented by the DG and the team, just by highlighting some of the key things that we have done as the department in the recent past. As we are being informed by the policy guides that I've just outlined above. For example, through the Mandela Mining Precinct, which is aimed at actually supporting the modernization of the mining industry, we've delivered some groundbreaking technological and knowledge outputs. This includes, for instance, sensors that enable the detection of loose rock formations at a safe distance and improved understanding of pillar extraction options to maximize both the safety and the life of a mine. These are our own technologies that we have developed. Through our Agricultural Bioeconomy Innovation Partnership Program, we call it ABIP, we have leveraged over 300 million rands and expanded farmer support to deepen the impact of agricultural innovation. In May last year, together with the University of Pretoria and other institutional partners, we launched the Nuclear Medicine Research Infrastructure, NUMERI as we call it in short, at the Steve Biko Academic Hospital. Now, this state-of-the-art facility is the only one of its kind in the whole of the African continent, and it intends to advance drug development and clinical research and provide cutting-edge diagnostics and treatment in relation to cancer, tuberculosis, and other major diseases. This facility is part of our 13 research infrastructure facilities, and we have contributed 720 million rands towards the establishment of this NUMERI facility. In fact, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, I would really urge you as the committee to take a time to visit this facility. I can assure you, you will be blown out of this world to see some of the capacity that, as the department that we have now. And once you decide to do so, or in preparing to decide to do so, we'll be more than happy as a department to assist you. Through our vaccine innovation and manufacturing strategy, which we call VIMS, we aim to promote the domestic design and development of vaccines and target corona-type viruses, the Rift Valley fever, human papillomavirus, and hepatitis B, amongst other diseases. Now, the significance of VIMS, Chair and honorable members, just to put it simply, is that so far the vaccines that we are producing, we've only been doing until recently what we call fill and finish. In other words, we get the original products for the vaccines from somewhere else. We don't develop it ourselves. It's been researched somewhere, and then we simply then do fill and finish and produce a vaccine. Now, we want to be with VIMS in the whole value chain, from research to innovation, finding new drugs, through our own research, and then proceed with fill and finish on something that we have managed to produce ourselves. Through our Hydrogen Society Roadmap, which is another important program of ours, the Platinum Valley Initiative and the Green Hydrogen Commercialization Strategy, we will continue to intensify our efforts to support energy security for our country and enable a just energy transition from fossil fuels to green products, green energy. We are also making significant progress, Chair and honorable members, in developing 4IR capabilities through what we call a Foundational Digital Capabilities Research Platform, which is ours. Our entity, the National Advisory Council, on Innovation, has also initiated the development of a national artificial strategy for our country. I'm very pleased to say this because NACI now has helped us to develop this strategy, which we are now sharing with the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, so that together then we can finalize it and then say we have an artificial intelligence strategy. In response to the withdrawal of funding by the United States of America for key scientific projects between the US and South African research and academic institutions, I recently appointed a working group to advise me on the impact of these. I've received the report, I'm pleased to say that, and we are preparing to table it before Cabinet And then hopefully later in Parliament, and of course we would like thereafter to release it to the broader scientific community and the broader South African public. Now, on the focus then, I thought I needed just to give this background so that when we account on monies, we are also able to see and somewhere what are some of the key highlights, which I'm just talking about. The department will possibly also go a bit deeper on some of these. For today, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, we will get an overview of our department's performance for the financial year 2024 to 2025. For the period under review, we did not incur, I am pleased to say, any irregular, fruitless, or wasteful expenditure. We also received an unqualified audit opinion without findings, what is normally called a clean audit. This is our 5th consecutive clean audit as the department. Our total procurement expenditure on goods and services, on women, youth, and people with disability, including small, medium, and micro enterprises from 1 April 2024 to 31st March 2025 amounted to 89 million rands. We are, of course, concerned by the incidence of the underspending on transfers and subsidies as it relates to some of our entities, and we intend to take up this matter with our entities. By the way, between now, December into January next year, I'm going to be meeting with each of our entities, together with all their board members and senior management, to engage on these matters as well as other matters in terms of their plans and how are they advancing the overall agenda of the department. Honorable Chair and honorable members, we will also be provided with further details on our work in the development of human capabilities, especially our support for Black South Africans, women, youth, and persons with disabilities to be given capacity in this area of our STI system. The presentation will also give members a sense of how we have expanded our cooperation and partnerships on the African continent and with Global South countries, such as in China. I'm also pleased to say, as you well know by now, Honorable Chair, that we have held a highly successful G20 summit with South Africa as the president. And we also are happy that as there is a very important paragraph that has been included in the declaration from the summit on advancing science, technology, and innovation by the G20 countries, which is very important for us. In conclusion, Chair and honorable members, while we are fully pleased with our overall performance for the period under review, we have a few areas of our performance that concern me as Minister. Together with the DG and the executive of the department, we continue to implement measures to improve our organizational performance. With your permission, then, Chair, I now wish to hand over to our Director General, Dr. Cele, to lead the presentation. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. But before we allow the department to make the necessary presentation, the AG is here with us, Honorable Minister, going to make a presentation before the department, Honorable Minister. Since we understood and accepted the apology that was submitted, we will proceed, however, indeed, with the officials, with the DG and then the team that is with here.
Thanks, Chair.
Yes, Honor.
That is fine.
We will also engage the remarks when we're dealing with all the presentation, Honorable Minister. Unfortunately, we will engage it on your behalf. Apologies for that, Honorable Minister. However, the call Honorable Minister, will be followed. We appreciate it. You've been consistent in ensuring that you do not leave the committee behind in the developments, the call to visit the facility. We will ask the administration to make the necessary arrangement with the department for us to be able to make the visit so that we are well equipped and also see practically these developments. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Siyabonga Sihlalo.
Siyabulela Pepe. Can the AG apologies once again to AG. You are welcome you are always welcome in our midst. However, it was an oversight not to make the necessary welcoming and an acknowledgement of your presence. Believe me, there is nothing that was intended, but it's just a question of oversight. Thank you very much. AG, the floor is yours. I will give you 45 minutes so that do not run out of time, as we are also heading to our house at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, and good morning to the honorable members. Honorable Minister, good morning, and our sincere condolences to you. And good morning to the colleagues of the department and also other colleagues that have joined us. My name is Michelle Margaman. I'm the business unit leader within the Office of the Auditor General, responsible for the portfolio of science. I also have with me Mbali Toteti. She's the deputy business unit leader within the Office of the AG, also responsible for the portfolio. And then we have the senior manager with us as well, Solomon Gianna, and he's responsible for the science portfolio as well. Honorable members, I'm going to allow Solly to just take us through the presentation, and then we will then engage at the suitable time. Thanks, Solly, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, and all the Honorable Committee members. As Michelle has stated, I'll be taking you through the presentation of 2024-2025 audit outcome. If you may, Chairperson, allow me some few seconds to flag my presentation from my side, and then you'll tell me if ever it's reflecting from that other side. Okay, I'm not so sure if you see the Chairperson.
Yes, it's visible. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think then I will just shoot straight to our first slide. Basically, the first slide, Honorable Chairperson and members, it talks to our mission and vision. Basically, our mission is to enable oversight, accountability, and governance in the public sector through our audit work, thereby building public confidence. And of course, in terms of our vision, we want to be recognized by all our stakeholders as a relevant supreme audit institution that basically enhances public sector accountability. And then our mission, Chairperson, is to advocate for an effective national and provincial cultures. In other words, we do our work in order to make sure that at the end of the day, we are seeing the public sector that is characterized by the culture of performance, accountability, transparency, and integrity. So in other words, with regard to performance, we are saying when those strategic or annual performance plans and strategic plans are put forward, they are basically should be aimed, at making sure that our people or public out there benefits from whatever we are entrusted to deliver for them. And then also on the accountability side, we want to see a public sector that is actually encouraging accountability, all those who actually allow, instances of fraud, instances of maladministration, you can name all those corruptible activities. We want those people to be held accountable for their action and relevant consequence management be implemented against them. And then also in terms of transparency, we want to see a public sector that is able to provide us with timely, relevant, and reliable information on the institution finances, performances, use of resources, and compliance with legislation. And then, of course, we want to see the public sector culture that is characterized, or public sector institutions that are characterized by integrity. In other words, those public sector institutions, they should promote ethical leadership in all what they are doing. The next slide, Chairperson, talks to the correlation between our mandate and the Parliament. If you can check Chapter 9 of the Constitution, Section 188, our mandate is basically to strengthen our country's democracy. And then what we must do, we must basically audit, report on accounts, financial statement, and financial management of our government institutions. And then, of course, the Parliament, their mandate is to provide mechanism to ensure that all executive organs of state in the national sphere of government are accountable to it, and to maintain oversight of the exercise of national executive authority, including the implementation of legislation in any organ of state. And then, of course, Chapter 4 talks to the provincial legislature's mandate, which is to ensure that all provincial executive organs of state in the province are accountable to it, to maintain oversight and receive petitions. Below basically, Chairperson, is our Public Audit Act that requires us to prepare audit reports reflecting an audit opinion, conclusion, or findings in the area of financial statement, compliance with laws and regulation, also on reported performance against predetermined objectives. It also includes Section 5, it also includes other discretionary audit, like your special audit, investigations, and performance audit. Section 1 talks to material irregularity, where we are indicating that as an AG office, we may identify material irregularity, and then we can also refer any of those suspected material irregularities or that are identified during the audit to relevant public bodies for further investigation. So from our side, AG, we also have got the power to take appropriate remedial action and also issue the certificate of debt where the accounting office or accounting authority has failed to comply with the remedial action issued by us. The next slide, Chairperson, talks to our accountability ecosystem. Basically, here we are saying all of us, we have a role to play in the accountability ecosystem. In other words, our role, we have to make sure that there is clean administration and there is proper accountability within the public sector sphere. That starts from the officials themselves of our public institution, senior management, accounting authority, and then, of course, our governance structures, that is internal audit unit and audit committee, including executive authority, parliament, provincial legislatures, and oversight committee, our coordinating institution, including national and provincial leadership. And of course, we don't exclude ourselves from the accountability ecosystem picture. We as Auditor General, through the insight that we are sharing with our public sector institution, we're aiming to influence them towards the culture of doing good. But now, as a last resort, if ever we can't influence, then we can implement our expanded powers in terms of material irregularity processes. The next part, Chairperson, talks to the portfolio ecosystem itself. That is the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation portfolio. There are public entities that are reporting to the STI, of which is CSIR, NRF, Human Science Research Council, and then, of course, we've got other entities that we call Section 4.3. These are entities that we opt not to audit. They are audited by their own private firms, of course, through the concurrence of Auditor General. That is TIA, South African Technology Innovation Agency. We've got SANSA, that is South African National Space Agency, and SF, that is Academy of Science of South Africa. Those are Section 4.3 entities that are audited by their private audit firms. Okay, next, Chairperson, during 2023-2024, we have made the recommendation to the DSTI portfolio, basically to prioritize the achievement of key performance targets to ensure that the expectation created on service delivery and the mandate against the planned budget are basically met. And then we've also recommended that the portfolio should consider tracking and monitoring the impact of funds that they are investing on graduates after completion of their studies, or if the science or discoveries or outputs by funded researchers are making any positive impact in the society. So our reflection during the year under review, in terms of those recommendations, we have noted that CSIR and HSRC, they have basically achieved all their performance targets for the scope in indicators that were scoped in for our audit. Whilst NRF and DSTI, they achieved 67% and 70% of its targets respectively. And DSTI and NRF have established alternative mechanisms to track the impact of funding to postgraduate students. The next slide is on overall audit outcomes. We have audited 4 of the public entities from the DSTI portfolio. That is DSTI itself, Human Science, CSIR, and NRF. And then suffice to mention that Chairperson, all 4 of them have achieved clean audit opinion. In other words, we did not identify any material misstatement in their financial statement, and there were no material non-compliance with laws and regulation, and then there were no material findings on their reported performance information. And of course, all of them, 4 of them, they have submitted their financial statement by 31st May 2025. Next slide is the audit outcomes of the Section 4.3. That is 3 of them, of which 2 achieved audit outcome, and 1, that is DIA, which achieved unqualified audit opinion with findings on compliance with laws and regulation. And then also we need, below there we mentioned that all of these audits, they were signed on time, except DIA, which was signed on 28 August 2025, because they wanted to make some adjustment in their financial statement. So the key observations since the previous year on these Section 4.3 entities, SANSA and ASAF, they have been able to maintain sound control environment. This has positively impacted their ability to continue producing good quality financial statements and performance reports for audit. So the material misstatement, they were identified in DIA financial statement. This constituted non-compliance with Section 55(1)(b) of the PFMA. And then also, we were not able to satisfy ourselves that DIA has taken appropriate steps or disciplinary steps against those officials who allowed fruitless and wasteful expenditure to happen. And then, of course, the root cause, what we have observed is that this material adjustment to the financial statement that we identified during the audit process, it is basically an indication of the internal control deficiency over the processing and reviewing of their financial information. And of course, lack of monitoring of compliance with laws and regulation. Below, we just a recommendation to DIA that their management should actually implement a thorough review process for the financial statement to improve the credibility of the entity's financial reporting. And also, management should actually review and monitor compliance with regulation and ensure that the public entity complies with all relevant regulation, and proper consequence management is implemented against those who incur irregular expenditure. The next slide is talks to the quality of their financial and performance reporting. So here we have identified that all these 4 entities, they had been able to produce good quality financial and performance reporting. And the control around financial and performance management has been identified to be good, as you can see, all 4 of them. So controls under proper record keeping, they were found to be good. Daily and monitoring of controls, in-year and year-end reporting, and also controls over review and monitoring of controls. All they were found to be good. And then if you can check there at the bottom, basically the observation we are just saying now, all 4 of them, they've been able to maintain a good sound control environment. This has positively also impacted their ability to continue producing good quality financial and performance reporting. And then the bar chart on the right, extreme right, top right, is basically an indication that during 2023-2024, they have been able to do the same, producing good quality financial statement and financial statement, and then also performance report during the audit. And then also that happened during 2024-2025. Below is just the impact of producing these good quality financial and performance reports. The next one is on compliance with key legislation. You can see that the budgets there at the top, it talks to all four of them that have been able to have no material findings on compliance with legislation. That happened during 2023, 2024, and also 2024-2025. If you can check there, the movement remain unchanged. They have been able to not have material findings on compliance with laws and regulations. Of course, just to mention that although there were no material findings on compliance with laws and regulations, there were some areas of non-compliance which were not material that we identified. That is around procurement and contract management, and then also under consequence management. And then those affected CSIR, NRF, and HSRC as indicated there under the causes of compliance findings. The next part, Chairperson, is on irregular expenditure. On the annual irregular expenditure, the annual irregular expenditure during 2024 was sitting at 13 million. And then, however, it suffices to mention that all this expenditure has been disclosed by all these entities that are affected. And then the causes of irregular expenditure, mainly that was not material, is around procurement without obtaining prior supply chain and management approval, e.g. on the variation and expansion and deviation without the relevant approval by the relevant authorities. And then also there was an instance in NRF whereby the evaluation criteria that was used to assess the bid differed from those specified in the tender document, although these non-compliances were not deemed to be material. So below is just the impact of the irregular expenditure that has been incurred. It relates to the breach of 5 pillars of procurement and other instances. And then, of course, we've got small amount and a CSIR of about 325,000, which was not yet assessed during the audit. And then the next slide, Chairperson, talks to consequence management. How is the department dealing then with irregular expenditure? Here is just the closing balance of irregular expenditure. If we can check from 2023-2024, it moved from 2.9 million to 19 million. However, during 2023-2024, 95% of this irregular expenditure was dealt with, and then only 2.9 which was not dealt with. And then when you follow up during the year, that 2.9 million regular expenditure was not dealt with. But now on your top right there, it's the reason why this irregular expenditure was not dealt with. Mainly some of the irregular expenditure was basically referred to National Treasury for Condonment, and National Treasury came back with some comments. And during the time of this report, the departments, or rather the public entities, were still busy dealing or addressing the comments from the National Treasury. The next part is material irregularity that I spoke about in our earlier slide, Chairperson. Basically, on your left is just the history of where does this material irregularity comes from. So in the past, we used to report all these instances of non-compliance with laws and regulation and make some recommendation to a public sector institution to actually follow up in order to address the issue of fruitless, wasteful, and irregular expenditure. But now in the past there was a very little or no improvement in dealing with these cases. And so that led to our relevance to be questioned by the oversight, parliamentary oversight structures. So now then a decision has been taken that AG must be empowered to hold accounting officers, entrusted with public funds, accountable for their actions. So that's where the MI process came into being, in order to make sure that we basically instill a culture of accountability, improve the protection of our resources, and enhance public sector performance and encourage an ethical culture. Strengthen public sector institutions to better serve our people of South Africa and also to enable oversight. So this material irregularity process, Chairperson, basically talks to the non-compliance that we identified or contravention of a legislation, can be fraud, theft, or any breach of fiduciary duty that we identified during our audit under Public Audit Act that resulted in or is likely to result in material financial loss, or the misuse of or loss of our material public resource or substantial harm to a public sector institution or the general public. So now, once we identify the material irregularity, we notify the accounting officer of the material irregularity, and then if the accounting officer or accounting authority does not appropriately deal with the material irregularity, then we've got an option as Auditor General, depending on the circumstances, to either refer the material irregularity to the relevant public body for further investigation, or make a recommendation in our auditor's report to resolve that particular material irregularity, and also to take a binding remedial action for failure to implement our recommendation, and ultimately the issuing of the certificate of debt for failure to implement the remedial action if financial loss was basically involved. The next slide, Chairperson, talks to the governance and institutional capability within the portfolio. We have actually assessed the effectiveness of internal audit units and then also the audit committee. For the internal audit within the portfolio, we have identified that they've played their role in providing assurance of the effectiveness of the internal control, particularly in the financial and performance reporting and compliance, including supply chain management. And then through the assurance they have provided, we have actually used some of their audit work to actually for risk assessment, and then also to adjust the nature and timing and extent of our audit procedures. So also with the effectiveness of audit committee, we have assessed that the audit committee within the portfolio exercise their effective oversight over the internal control environment, including financial and performance reporting, as well as compliance with legislation. So they are effective. They have played an effective role, in their particular responsibilities. And of course, with regard to the institutional capability, we check the key vacancies, the overall stability of the portfolio. So we have identified there was a key vacancy during 2024-2025, but now we have noticed that the new Director General of the DSTI was appointed with effect from 1 June 2025. So we are comfortable that particular vacancy has been addressed. And also in terms of overall stability, the science, technology, innovation portfolio has basically a strong institutional capability that is supported by skilled personnel, robust governance, and effective internal controls. So next slide, Chairperson, talks to the insights, that is performance against targets. As I've mentioned in my previous slides, that some of the targets were achieved, some of the targets were not achieved. So the bar chart below just indicates different entities in terms of achievement of the performance targets. For CSIR, they have been able to achieve 100% of their targets relating to our scope in indicators. And then NRF achieved 67% of the targets from our scope in indicators. HSRC, they achieved 100%, and the DSTI 70% accordingly. So the next slide, the Chairperson, talks to our theme on skills and unemployment. So in this area, Chairperson, we have actually determined or checked whether the department and its entity are basically contributing to skills and unemployment. So our recommendation that we have made in the prior year was that they must prioritize in following up, their investment in the postgraduate students that are basically finished with their studies, and also their investment on research. So we have made some recommendation, and then we have seen some progress during the year under review. So, like for example, we have seen that NRF, they were tracking through the sector surveys, alumni tracking, LinkedIn platforms, and also the NRF portals. And then also seen that the STI is also including tracking of students as part of their policy initiative in its 2025-2026 APP. So we have seen that our recommendation has received some attention by the portfolio, and it's making some difference in the public out there. In the middle, that bar chart, basically we've got our own information system auditors in our organization. Here we wanted to check if these students finish their postgraduate studies, are they getting absorbed by labor market or not? So our observation, Chairperson, revealed that they are basically, some of them are basically absorbed by the labor market. If you can see the budget in the middle talks to about 3,650 individuals that were tracked and identified that they are basically employed by labor market. This relates to employment either in government, some of them they are in private businesses, and some of them they also they've got business dealings with the state in general. And of course, the bar chart below talks to the work opportunities that the whole portfolio has actually created to our country citizens, especially in addressing youth unemployment. If you can see the bar chart, they are self-explanatory. It shows the number of those that have benefited through work opportunities in our science portfolio. Then on the right, the Chairperson, we went further to check whether the project, the Meerkat, that is in the Northern Cape, how is it contributing to the local citizen? We have identified and identified that actually there is a number of suppliers that is specifically benefited from this particular project from 2021 to 2025. Actually, it's about 212 suppliers that have benefited, if you count them all, and the value, that they have derived from participating in this particular project is over $1 billion. So, in other words, the project is also benefiting our local supply chain. The next slide talks to the portfolio message, that is overall root causes, recommendation, and commitments. During the audit, we have identified some root causes of the instances that have been picked up during the audit. We've made some key recommendations and also proposed some commitments by the executive authority. So the key root causes basically talks to a tier that has had material adjustment in their financial statement. So here we are saying there were material adjustment identified on tier financial statement, which is also an indication of internal control deficiencies over processing and review of financial information. So they should improve in that particular area in order to see different results going forward. So key recommendation, we have recommended that the portfolio must monitor the progress of the action plan to address identified internal control deficiencies for TIA, and also to prioritize the achievement of key performance targets to ensure that the expectation created on service delivery and mandates against planned targets allocations are met, and also the issue of tracking and monitoring the impact of funds that are invested in postgraduate students and their researchers. So the proposed commitment to the executive authority was that he should assist us to monitor the progress made with the action plans to address internal control deficiencies that were identified at TIA, also follow up on TIA to ensure that effective consequence management is applied, and also to strengthen oversight to ensure that all the entities within the portfolio meet their performance target. And the message to select committee is that the select committee should also monitor the progress regarding the achievement of key performance target by the portfolio to ensure that expectations that are created on service delivery are met. And also the select committee should exercise oversight over those Section 43 entities that I've mentioned above, that is TIA, ASAF, and SANSA. Okay, Chairperson, I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you very much, AG. Are you done with your presentation, AG?
Yes, that's the end of my presentation. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. We will just hold on our engagements up until we finish the one of the department. Can the department, DG, take over the floor?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and members, and greetings to our Minister and colleagues. I'm supported as well by the Deputy Director Generals, the CFO, and other members of the team, chairperson, who will also assist in responding to the questions that may arise later on. The outline of our presentation, chairperson will provide the overall annual performance, will identify performance highlights and indicate targets that we couldn't achieve, and then we will end with a reflection on financial performance. Of course, this presentation is building on what the Minister has ably contextualized and added. So we see our overall performance, as I've been informed, Chair, that this slide reflects everything that we have done as a department. Our performance was at 85%. And in the actual terms, it's 58 targets that were achieved, and we couldn't achieve 10 targets of those planned. So if you compare in the last, if we take a 3-year comparison, you could see that, chairperson, we are, even though we're below the last year, the previous financial year's performance, but much better improvement compared to 2022, 2023. But of course, 85%, we need to improve. We have a number of entities that are reporting to the Minister, and these are the entities that are actually implementing our policy directives or our policies and strategies. You can see the CSIR achieved 94%. The HSRC was the only one under a year review that achieved 100%. TI is the lowest in terms of performance or in respect of the targets that were achieved, even though it's still quite high, relatively high at 79%. The next slide. Of course, chairperson, if you look at, if you consider highlights, this is the administration program. The most important achievement was clean audit, because essentially this is the responsibility of this program, to make sure that we properly and efficiently manage finances, but also ensure that the predetermined objectives are implemented through clearly articulated strategic and annual performance plan and regular monitoring and evaluation reporting systems. The next slide. There was no wasteful and fruitless expenditure as indicated. The Minister did allude to this, Honorable Chairperson. The department implements most of its human capabilities and skills for the economy and development initiatives through the National Research Foundation. As you can see here, about 1,978 PhD students received bursaries through the NRF and other entities, of which 86% were Black students, with women constituting 60% of the beneficiaries, and youth, of course, constituting 88%, and 1% were students with disabilities. And then again, when you look at the pipeline postgraduate students who were awarded bursaries, this would include honors and masters. About 4,293 were supported, of which 92% were Black, 63% were women, 99% youth, and 2% were persons with disabilities. And in respect to support to research students, 246 high-level research students were fully funded or co-funded in designated niche areas such as advanced manufacturing, aerospace, chemicals, mining, advanced metals, digital transformation, and science, technology, and innovation for the circular economy. And then if you look at master's and doctoral students who were supported in areas such as energy, space, innovation, priorities and instruments, and bioeconomics, there were about 207. We also supported 715 graduates and students who were placed through a DSTI-funded work preparation program in various science, engineering, and technology institutions so that they may gain graduate work experience. We also supported about 55 University of Technology and TVET graduates who were offered experiential learning opportunities in the energy sector. In respect of our implementation of our objective to utilize knowledge for inclusive development, we provided support to 51 SMMEs, focusing on business development and commercialization, and about 660 grassroots innovators were supported to commercialize their technology products through a range of our departmental funding instruments and products. In the area of job and income opportunities, 45 job opportunities and 110 income opportunities were created and supported through various demonstrators / models. In respect of venture building program for the youth, the department entered into a partnership with the Empire Partner Foundation Tech Fund to cultivate 20 promising South African tech startups over a 2-year period with a strong social impact focus. Again, we have a commitment to make sure that our national system of innovation is transformed, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of society, while at the same time, it needs to demonstrate policy coherence. Some of the milestones that we have realized in the year under review is that through the SAA-SMA fund, the previous slide. Okay, it's controlling. Okay, so about 1.3 billion was injected into the venture capital fund of funds, which is part of our innovation fund program, to which the department contributed 256. And we leverage 5 times this amount. So in other words, Honorable Chairperson, for every rand that we have spent, we have been able to leverage 5 rand. Our target is to leverage 10 rand per each rand that we are investing. This is a huge program that has now been embraced and included in the growth implementation plan that the president is championing. So this is the innovation fund and this instrument, the venture capital fund of funds, is the first for South Africa, demonstrating government-backed investment initiative that has been able to successfully leverage private capital at a scale to support high potential and technology-driven startups. And we're seeing increasing interest from the private sector to participate through this initiative. Secondly, as we have indicated, that we have partnered with Empire to support 20 promising South African technology startups. Let's move to the next slide. Again, because the department is committed to utilize science, technology, and innovation to create an inclusive and sustainable socio-economic development, we have, for instance, developed the smart medical device for precision health. And this NIC, what we call this invention called NIC, that has been developed, it has developed, the institution has developed a medical smartwatch with a wristband sensor that alerts the user to an impending epileptic episode in advance. So the benefits of this medical smartwatch is that it prevents casualties and fatalities that accompany epileptic fits. It detects cancer biomarkers associated with blood cancers such as lymphoma and leukemia. It provides and an invoice has been sent to Formidable Technology for payment for this milestone. The second one is technology localization success. And then through the Technology Localization Innovation Unit, we've introduced two companies, one called Kanye, to iLED, and together they had the capabilities to develop an LPU box with 70% local content. Kanye was invited by ESCOM to demonstrate its LPU box operation under real-life conditions as a precursor to placing potential orders with Kanye. The above example is an illustration of the impact of past and current Technology Localization Innovation Unit interventions. The Minister and the Deputy Minister led various critical initiatives, including the National Science Week, which was held in September, and its intention is to popularize science, thus making and promoting awareness of its value and impact of science on our daily lives, and build a society that understands and critically engages with science and technology and innovation. And also the South African Women Science Awards, which are vitally important in terms of promoting a critical role of women leaders in science, technology, and engineering and mathematics. So we also, the Dr. Taskim doctorate supported the department through the Rooibos Council Innovation Fund. So this doctorate won the 2024 SA Women in Science Award for Distinguished Young Women Researchers in Natural and Engineering Sciences. So the awards are very important because they recognize the different contribution that women were making in the different fields of science as broadly defined and understood. And then again, the third category is Grassroots Innovation Awards, which were jointly held by the department and TIA. So these were the second Grassroots Innovation Awards that happened in December last year. And as you can see on the slide, there are about 5 categories, including the Outstanding Youth Grassroots Innovator Disability Innovation Award. These are some of our critical interventions that places, as the Minister indicated, the department at the center of society and education, the economy, and government. On the international cooperation front, we have a diverse portfolio of international initiatives that are meant to support, deepen, and build the South African national system of innovation. So we have a broader Pan-African, we're pursuing a broader Pan-African diplomacy and the department supported about 29 initiatives that are linked to the African Union Agenda 2063. Amongst others, these initiatives, they are seeking to strengthen capacity in the intellectual property protection, the G20 Task Force on Artificial Intelligence, which played a critical role in the G20 presidency of South Africa, the next Einstein Forum, Africa Sustainable Development Goals Week, as well as the Sustainable Energy Partnership that EU and Africa is collaborating around. We are also having a healthy partnership or collaboration with the European Union, which has been happening for a number of years, and this has led to about 40 new projects involving our South African partners with various consortia. The investment commitments represent an approximate investment of 10.4 million euros from the European Commission to support this engagement, their engagement with South Africa in respect of research and innovation programs. And then, of course, this partnership with EU focuses on health, research infrastructure, mobility through Marie Skłodowska car reactions, energy, water, mining, minerals, and social sciences. We also have a very strong collaboration with China, which is part of South Africa's broad strategic cooperation with China. And this has expanded significantly, as marked by increased joint research projects, emphasizing information, communications, technology, life sciences, mining,
in progress.
Space and astronomy, agricultural technologies, and maritime or marine technologies. In terms of the targets that we couldn't achieve, the next slides, Chairperson and honorable members, provides. It indicates what we sought to achieve, and then what we couldn't achieve. So, for instance, we would have liked all our entities to have provided or submitted all their planning instruments. And in the case of the CSR, the shareholder compact, to the minister and the chairpersons of the boards by 31st March 2025. Now, the actual performance is that the CSIR shareholders compact was approved by the minister, of course, in February. The NRF, ASAF, NECI, TIA, HSF, and SANSA were approved. Okay, so this was achieved. The only variance is that the NRF, the National Research Foundation, and SACNASP, which is overseeing the registration of natural scientists, their plans were not approved by the 31st of March. And the reasons is that the MTDP was approved late in March. So, and then, of course, we had to then say, what are the plans that have been put in place to make sure that these entities, we do not repeat the same thing. So both institutions, NRF and SACNAS, subsequently got their plans approved on the 3rd of April, 2025. The next slide. Again, we're supposed to host the Interministerial Committee on Science, Technology, and Innovation before the 31st of March. We were not able to do so because of a number of reasons. So we could only go back to Cabinet this year to get the approval. Of course, the GNU was established and a lot of focus in government was around the construction of the GNU. So in this regard, we couldn't host the IMC as intended. However, the minister hosted a historic National System of Innovation Transformation Summit, in which was attended by various stakeholders in the system. And this has been really significant because the outcomes of this, the minister submitted them to Parliament. for honorable members because they had requested to see what were the outcomes of the summit. Those were submitted to Parliament. As I indicated, that the Minister has secured approval of Cabinet to re-establish the Interministerial Committee on STI, and we should then be able to host it in the near future. And then, so the other target that was not approved, we had a target of 90% of all approved funded positions to be filled by end of March 2025. We could only fill 78%. And part of the reason, it has to do with the Department of Public Service and Administration, which has not concurred with the department in respect of filling the prioritized positions. And secondly, we had a little bit of a challenge with respect to the compensation of employees' budget. And we can't proceed with the filling of vacancies without the consent of the Department of Public Service and Administration. Again, we have now been in discussions with DPSA, and we have agreed on what should be done to get to a point where we are able to fill all the relevant policies. Of course, the Minister is leading that process. The next slide. In respect of Meerkat, we were supposed to install 9 L-band receivers on the additional Meerkat extension antennas by the end of March. 2 L-band receivers were installed. The reason for the non-achievement of 7 is that the installation of receivers depends on the completion of photogrammetry on the antennas already installed. This process was delayed due to unavailability of technicians because of visa application challenges, and the installation was therefore so that members would appreciate, as I think the AG pointed in one of its slides. This is a global SKA, and Meerkat is a global project. So, and there is a component in Australia, and then the headquarters, the SKA, the actual SKA organization. We had to get technicians from abroad to come and assist to work at the SKA site. There were visa challenges, which meant that the project couldn't proceed as planned. So, however, progress is being made, and in future, probably when we come and present the next annual report, we will be reporting we will be providing a positive feedback, Honorable Chairperson. Let's move to the next slide. Again, we were meant to install 9, this is, I think it's a repetition, apologies, of the previous one. But maybe just to indicate that we have since sorted out the visa problems. On the human capabilities and skills for the economy, we had a target of 750 graduates and students placed in DSTI-funded work preparation programs, but we could only fund 715 students. And part of this had to do with the broad consultation on ways of improving the internship programs length. And so we took a little bit, there was a delay in the publication of the call for the new cohort, which was supposed to contribute. But these are technical processes that in future should be avoided, as we have already sorted the issue. And in the next report, we will indicate, for instance, Chair, we've already supported about 810 students. So, Again, we had 12 initiatives intended to promote public awareness and engagement with science. We were able to conduct about 11 of those initiatives. And then 4 out of 9 provinces, educators were offered training on coding. So the reasons for variance is that only provinces that have begun implementing additional training in their provinces were included. Those that had not yet begun their own training initiatives based on the first 2 years of training were left out to avoid potential fruitless expenditure. Unfortunately, Chairperson, the commitment, the provincial securing commitment from provinces is outside the department's control. When provinces start implementing what they have learned, they will receive further training. So this is a collaboration that we continue to work on with provinces so that we can improve the delivery of services of this sort. Now, we were hoping that the paleosciences strategy will be revised in line with the decadal plan, with our National Science, Technology and Innovation decadal plan. So the revision process took longer. It wasn't finalized, partly to the issues that the executive committee might have had with the draft revised strategy. So then, partly also because the research stakeholder engagements had recommended certain changes in the draft strategy to also include collaboration with the Department of Tourism and how that may need to be treated separately from the actual strategy. It was also the department needed to engage with other stakeholders, including heritage sector forum, to which the department was invited to make a presentation. At which point then further engagements with other groups were proposed. So again, there were then recommendations in terms of how certain aspects of the draft revised strategy could be dealt with. Let's move to the next slide. And then, so another target related to the RDTI adjudication committee recommendations for 80% of project applications received in 2024 process for ministers' consideration for the R&D tax incentives. 69% of project applications were received and processed and routed to the minister. Now, the difference was 11%. Now, the reasons for this is that the period during which applications for this were finalized was the 1st April. The achievement was negatively affected by the postponement of the educating committee meetings because there was not enough quorum, as well as the need to refer projects back to applicants who had not yet responded to the committee's request. So, and then 3 proposed measures were put in place to bolster our monitoring mechanisms, including ensuring that the turnaround times for the submission of technical evaluation reports by external stakeholders and to tighten the processing of committee recommendations immediately after. These are technical issues that probably in future would be addressed and would not create this kind of challenge that was experienced in the last financial year. The next slide. Chairperson, we were also meant to ensure a closeout report related to the implementation of water and waste research, development, and innovation roadmap. The report was finalized. Well, the report ought to have been finalized, but it was done, but it was not signed. It was, the report was submitted, but they didn't sign it. So the CSIR had a challenge with its financial reporting system and could not finalize the financials on the report in time. So the report could only be signed in April. So you had a report, but which couldn't be signed because there were challenges with the financial aspect of it. And we therefore missed the 31st March deadline. But it has since been sorted and finalized. May I then ask the CFO, with your permission, Honorable Chairperson, to take us through the financial slides. CFO.
Thanks, DG. Good morning, Honorable Chair of the Committee. Good morning, Honorable Members. Good morning, Minister. Morning, DG, and morning, DSI colleagues. Chair and members, I will be sharing with you the financial performance of the department for the financial year that passed. In the year that passed, the department was appropriated 9,449 million. This includes the voted funds of 3 million and voted funds of 441 million and donor funds of 3 million. And we were also able to collect the revenue up to 5 million. Our actual expenditure for the year was 9,075 million. Out of this, the voted fund expenditure was 9,072 million, and 3 million of voted funds, of donor funds. We couldn't spend over 368 million. Part of it is as a result of the transfer, which I will show the details in the next slide. Next slide, please. The department's budget for the financial year that passed, under compensation of employees, we had 385 million goods and services, 255 million transfers and subsidies, 8,784 million payment for capital assets, 16 million, and we didn't have any funding for payment for financial asset. In total, we had 9,441. Next slide, please. I'll close just for the bandwidth because sometimes it freezes. The department planned to spend the entire budget, which is 9,441 by the year end. The actual spending was 9,073, as I've indicated, which is 96.1% of the total budget. We had a variance of 3.9, which is 368 million, which I've indicated. The next slide, please. The spending under various programs, under administration, the program was allocated 411 million. They spent 398 million. They had a variance of 12.5 million, which is 3.1%. Technology Innovation Agency Program 2, they were allocated 1,895 million. They spent 1,553 million. They couldn't spend 342 million. And they had a variance of 18.1%. Under ICR Program 3, the program was allocated 142 million. They spent 138.6 million. They couldn't spend 3.4 million, which is 2.4% of the budget. Research, Development and Support, which is Program 4, they were allocated 5,366 million. They spent 5,363 million. They had a variance of 3.3 million, which is 0.1% of the budget. Socio-Economic Innovation Partnership, which is Program 5, they were allocated 1,625 million. They spent 1,618. They couldn't spend 6.6 million, which is 0.4%. As I've indicated in the earlier slides, you'll see our variance was 368 million. Next slide, please. We have also shared the bar graphs there, bar chart for the members for ease of reference. Next slide, please. Under economic classification, under compensation, the allocation was 385 million. We spent 374 million, which is 11 million variance or 2.9%. Goods and services, we
we allocated 255 million. We only spent 254 million. We had the variance of 969,000, which is 0.4%. Under the transfers and subsidies, we had 8,784 million. We spent 8,428. We couldn't spend 356, which is 4.1%. And under payment for capital assets, we allocated 16,062,000. We spent 16,055,000. We had a variance of 7, which is 0.4%. Payment for capital asset, it was not allocated, but we had spending, but it was covered under the transfers and subsidies because we had enough funding. It was as a result of damages and losses that we wrote off. Next slide, please. We have also shared the bar graphs there, bar charts for members for ease of reference. Next slide, please. We have also shared our high spending line item under the transfers and subsidies. Under the parliamentary grants, Academy of Science of South Africa was allocated 31.9 million in the financial year. Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, which is the CSIR, was allocated 938 million. Women Sciences Research Council was allocated 300 million. National Research Foundation was allocated 942 million. South African National Space Agency was allocated 153 million. Technology Innovation Agency was allocated 432. So 2.7 billion of the funding, almost 2.8 went to our agencies as parliamentary grant. And other high spending items under research and development infrastructure, we spent 844 million. Human resource development, we spent 894 million. Square kilometer array, we spent 1,350 million. South African Research Chairs Initiatives, we spent 565 million. Next slide, please. The underspending that we have indicated, it was as a result of a transfer that we couldn't make to one of our entities, South African National Space Agency. We requested the rollover from the National Treasury for this funding, and I'm happy to report that the rollover was received. The National Treasury approved our rollover. But we are in constant discussion with the entity, including all our entities, to ensure that the spending improves going forward. We are going to have regular meetings. We have had few already, but we are going to have regular meetings with them to ensure that there is a spending alignment, because we have realized that one of the challenges is that the spending in terms of their plans, in terms of what they want to achieve, the things they want to do is not aligned with the spending as our cash flow and what we need to report to the National Treasury on. So we are having these meetings to ensure that that anomaly is corrected. Next slide, please. As Minister said earlier, and DG also alluded to it, the department obtained lean audit for the year that passed, but also for the past 4 years. We have obtained lean audit for the past consecutive 5 years. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Ntavi. As Minister indicated earlier, and I think DG also indicated, we did not incur any regular expenditure for the past 5 fruitless and wasteful expenditure for the past 5 years. We had a remaining irregular expenditure that emanates from the years that passed. We are dealing with National Treasury to assist in resolving the irregular expenditure. And we are hopeful that when we close the current financial year, the regular expenditure would have gone down. But our intention is to remove all of it. But we did not incur any regular expenditure for a number of years now. Next slide, please. We have also just shown the movement in terms of the bar chart for ease of reference for members. Next slide, please. Sorry. Next slide, please. We have also shared how we have performed in terms of paying our service providers. We had challenges in the year that passed only on 2 months where we were not able to pay 100%, but generally we managed to pay all our suppliers within 30 days for all valid invoices. And then for the current year up to now, members will see when we report performance report for the quarters. We have done very well. Next slide, please. We have also shared how we have performed in terms of procuring from historically disadvantaged categories. That includes small, medium, and macro enterprises. In terms of this area, as Minister indicated, we managed to procure 89% worth of goods and services. And then from small medium macro enterprises, we spent 50 million, which is 56.6%. Black companies, we spend 54 million, which is 71.7%. Women-owned companies, we spend 34 million, which is 38.7%. Youth-owned companies, we spend 11.5 million, which is 12.9%. Companies owned by people with disabilities, we spend 4 million, which is 4.6%. We are working very hard to ensure that we improve in terms of procuring from these categories. Members will see when we report going forward that there is a significant improvement. Thanks, DG. Let me hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me then hand over to you in the absence of the Minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much, TG. Indeed, Honorable Minister have made a request to be excused. So indeed, we adhered to that. So his apology has been accepted by the select committee. And now it's an opportune time for us as members to engage questions and discussions on both the presentations that were made, the DG, and also the department. Mine, I think, I just want to have some one or two questions that I want to engage on. The first one is on the SKA and the Meerkat project. We acknowledge these technicians that they are coming from abroad. It is a similar situation that when we're doing an oversight, our provincial week, in one of the bridges that is being built here, discovered that there is a skill that is being exported from Switzerland. If those people are not there, then there can be no project. There can be nothing that can happen. So I wanted just to check if the skills transfers with regard to what I have raised to produce local technicians for future references. In fact, even not even for future, because future is now, So how soon can we have this local skill being capacitated in order to perform these functions of building and maintaining these telescopes? Because we can't always have a situation of building, allowing, people from outside. I believe that we are in the state of 4IR, so we're supposed to be the one that is leading the country now. The second one is around the question of the completion of the PhD rate of 4,200 postgraduate students. I wanted, given these bursaries by the department and NRF, the question that has always been there is the question of jobs. Where these graduates are done with their training, then we find the situation, or we find them in robots, some of them standing in robots, or with boards. Is there any placement or absorption plan so that we don't have a number of intakes? Then the same skill that we have enhanced becomes obsolete on the street. The last one is on the grassroots innovators. It's selection, process by the department in order for to be given the financial support. And how many of these 160 grassroots innovators are supported by the department, that are supported by the department, have gone commercially? And also, how is the department also following in the form of monitoring that at least these funds that are provided, to these innovators do not utilize for other specific reasons. I will just stop there for now. Thank you very much. I will allow honorable members to engage in the order of hands that they made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. It's Member du Plessis.
Yes.
So I just thank you very much. Just one or two questions with regards to the internal controls and efficiency within internal SEM supply. What is being done to improve the internal controls as reported by the AGSA report? This will have an impact, obviously, on a lot of elements, but it was mentioned, but I would just like to know exactly what is going to be done to ensure that. I do want to congratulate the department for the unqualified audit. It's a good start, and it's a very good way to make sure that eventually our country is a country known for science, tech, and innovation, as well as human rights. So the other questions I would have with regards to the bursaries, how are people performing? Are there many people failing? Is it 100% pass rate? And what is the end result of these bursaries? Are they bringing in correct ROI? Why is there such a low percentage of people with disabilities in both expenditure but also involvement with the SMMEs? With regards to the SMMEs, are all these SMMEs going concerns, just so that we are aware of who government is doing business with as well, ensuring that these are people who build towards growing the economy and not just have opportunities. Then, well done with the ROI improvement on Empire Partner Foundation. I'd like to, or I think we'd all really watch that with interest over the next few years and how that grows. With regards to the smartwatch, are there any other additional e-health innovations that are being discussed, as well as something that I have asked previously, any other e-government innovation? Because quite often we've seen in countries where e-gov is efficient and effective and innovative, the country as a whole benefits greatly from those innovations. Then the last question would be with regards to coding teaching. I assume that it is accountability measures that have been put in place, but I'd like to understand why are some provinces holding up the achievement of that specific goal. It is a fantastic goal, especially with 4IR at our doorstep, if not already there. Thank you very much.
In that order, honorable members.
Thank you, Chair. Let me thank the department for this presentation. I've got only one question. I just want to be clarified if there was any negative impact for the late approvals of funding and professional registration by the National Research Foundation and the South African Council for Natural Science, Scientific Professions. Thank you.
Are you done, honorable members? No other hand, honorable members, from yourselves. Mr. Kula, is there any other hand that you are, so that you don't leave any other member who want to speak? Mr. Kula,
Yes, Chair?
do you see any other hand or must
No,
I
there's
proceed?
not. There's no
Okay.
other hand, Chair. It was only
Thank
two.
you. I thought it's me.
Okay.
Can we allow the AG first other way to respond? The AG.
Chair, there were no specific questions for the AG. All the questions were directed to the department. Thank you.
The AG was commended in terms of the good work. Okay, can we allow the department now to...
Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members. We highly appreciate the comments and then the questions. So let me ask, I'll ask my DDGs, the CFO, with your permission, Chair, to respond to the key issues. So let me start with DDG Patel to deal with all SKA Meerkat related questions.
Thanks, DG, and greetings.
Oh, sorry, and then NRF, DDG, as well as NRF and the graduates.
Yeah, thanks, DG. And good morning to the honorable members and my colleagues and the AG, if they're still on the platform. On the SKA, I think the key question there is the issue of skills transfer. Skills transfer is built into, so first I would need to clarify that the Meerkat is still our project entirely, South African funded. The procurement of the technology, etc., is through us. Meerkat extension, which is where the 7 dishes and the 9 dishes come in, is a partnership project with the Germans. And then the bigger SKA, the full SKA that will be built, is under the jurisdiction of the SKAO. So taking into account that those are very different implications in terms of procurement, etc., we've been able to manage it as effectively as possible, notwithstanding which arrangements there are. So the Meerkat extension is small and there's limited opportunities for technology for skills transfer on some of the instrumentation, particularly when it's the kind of elements that are turnkey products from our partners. On the SKAO, and some of the major work that's happening at the moment is the building of the infrastructure, the actual telescopes. And there, I'm pleased to say that that is being done under a contract between the international organization and a Chinese company, because China is a member of the SKA, and as part of the modalities of the SKA, they get fair work return. But we've been able to work very closely with our Chinese colleagues to do skills transfer. And the recent statistics that I've seen, which I don't have on hand at this point in time, is that as we build more and more dishes, as the newer and newer dishes come in, there will be more and more South African labor that's involved in that. The earlier ones, in fact, we put up, I think, 4 at the moment. The bulk of the work is being done, technical work by Chinese engineers and technicians. So it's definitely on our radar, and because this is a long-term project over the next 5 years, it's a very good project, as the chair had correctly identified. It's the kind of project that we must build in technology transfer and skills transfer. But I want to also just highlight that beyond just the technical skills that's involved in, for example, the building of the telescope, there's a whole range of other skills development area. I just attended on Sunday the SKA's Human Capital Development Program, And the way, and this will also partly talk to my next, to my response to the next question, that SKA bursary program is very unique because it doesn't only support postgraduate students. It includes, for example, technicians and artisans that's required on the SKA. It includes even tapping into talented people from within the area who have good maths and science cases. So a good example, and I was told, and someone asked, did you just invent that statistic or is it a real statistic? But one of the big priority areas for us is diesel mechanics, because, you know, the SK is a big site. There's a lot of diesel vehicles, and you need diesel vehicles because petrol vehicles interfere with the telescope. So there'll be like hundreds of diesel vehicles, and these have to be maintained on a daily basis. And diesel mechanics are in short supply. So it's a very clear case that because we've identified something we need, it's in short supply. There are talented people in the community who would want to stay there and then become diesel mechanics. We now prioritize in our artisan training with the TVET partner the development of diesel mechanics. I'm told, in fact, that diesel mechanics are the #1 scarce skill in Australia, as an example. So people want to attract there. So I can assure the colleagues that our team at the NRF, with our guidance and support at the DSTI, at Saroa, have built these things into their work plan quite explicitly. Skills development, skills transfer, but not only that, supplier development is included because, for example, when we have events or we'll have things, we would need to not employ people, but we would need to get those services from others, you know, whether it's catering or diesel mechanics, etc. So yes, to assure people that that's happening. And then on the bursaries, this is a matter that the DSTI is equally interested in trying to work out the best way to do this. And it's starting to happen now. And the AG had also raised it last year, is do we know what happens to our students when they leave? When we look at individual programs, not all the students that we fund. So, for example, if we just look at the SKA Human Capital Development Program that I spoke about earlier, then we have fairly good statistics, and the statistics are positive. Most of the people who go in that program either continue their studies or they get positions in the system. But that's also becoming a bit difficult, particularly for astronomers, because, you know, our system is small and we need to absorb that. And then similarly, where we have targeted programs for in the marine space or in the research infrastructure space, we have a good sense. But we don't have a good idea overall, because it's quite difficult. If people get a bursary and they leave, very difficult to trace people. And particularly with us, we've been supporting people for long times, 30 years, 25 years. So what we're doing at the moment is we had good discussions with SARS, and we're now taking that forward to be able to use, but there's very strict rules about this, and including getting permission from everyone who is funded to get permission that at certain points in time, say after 2 years or after 5 years, we would be able to simply get very high-level data from people using the tax information, just to be able to tell. So it's anonymized. There's no fear of anyone's information being compromised. We'll be able to tell that, for example, and we know this because even in DSTI, there are people who are now employed at DSTI who were NRF bursary holders, 15 years back. So using that system, because DSI, if you're a DSI official, you're a taxpayer, it will say you're employed at the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, and 15 years ago you got a bursary from the NRF. Therefore, we know what is happening with you. In addition to that, we also setting up, and we've done this now in 2 or 3 spaces, we're setting up things like the alumni network. It was launched on Sunday for the SKA bursary program, because some people have gone overseas we know where they are, but we don't have a good sense of it. So hopefully the alumni network will give us a better indication of where our funded students are going. But there's been also, in terms of people who were NRF students, who are now researchers and who are claiming their research. So within the NRF, they've funded someone as a student to get their PhD or master's, and now 15 years later, they're funding them as a researcher. Same system, and so they've also improved their IT system to be able to track all of those things. So tracking is a big priority. It's a big policy requirement for us, because as we move forward, if we're wanting to grow the system, we want to be more targeted, we want to make sure that we are dealing with groups that are prioritized. We need to have improved data and improved information about our university. So working together with the NRF and others, we're trying to do this. DJ, I noted those as the two questions that were related to my portfolio. Thanks.
No, thank you very much. DDG Dudoit, please come in on the International Fund.
Good afternoon, honourable members, DG and colleagues. I don't think there were any specific questions related to the international portfolio, DG, honourable members. Unless I've missed it, I can just emphasise what DG Patel said about the strong international partnership nature of the global SKA project. Thank you, DG.
Thank you. DDG Denza, on the smartwatch and other health-related initiatives, including e-health. Is Dr. Denza here? Okay, maybe Dr. Moffat, please address questions related to grassroots innovation and e-government.
Thanks very much. On the issue of grassroots innovation, the question was whether we can provide the numbers of companies that have become commercial. At this stage, not, and this is because this is about the grassroots innovators who were only supported in the past financial year. And as my colleague BDG Patel has indicated, we are doing the tracer work, so we go back and check how they are doing. However, the people who are identified for grassroots innovation support are generally those whose innovations have been identified as being potentially on the route to commercialization. So we then provide them with funding to move certain steps towards commercialization, and also technically by linking them, for example, with our technology stations to keep supporting them. So I think in terms of the cohort that we've supported, we can say that unless we go back and check now the numbers of those who might have now become commercial as we speak, then the bulk of them will still be trying to ready themselves to enter the market. On the question of e-government, our work is more on supporting the initiatives that were initially led by the DPSA and DCDT, however, now being led from the presidency. In terms of the role that our entity, the CSIR, plays in supporting various aspects of government digitization, and this would have ranged from the role that they play, for example, with the Department of Home Affairs, etc. So we really use those initiatives that we support through the CSR, for example, as the platform to support various e-government initiatives. So I probably am going to stop it at that, DG. I don't know if I would have missed any other question.
Okay, so maybe while you were there, why don't you just share with members the work that's done at the work that UKZN is doing with under Tsepang, the Municipality Innovation Maturity Index, because it's also part of working with municipalities to improve their innovations.
Yeah, so the work that DG is referring to, it's really about making sure that as we deal with what we call innovation for inclusive development, we realize that one of the biggest areas of impact that we can really improve, for example, in the area of service delivery, is if the municipalities are ready for innovations or to be innovative. And we're supplying that, we're working that, as DJ said, with the University of KwaZulu-Natal, but the work itself is impacting various municipalities beyond the KZN area. And what we do here is work with municipalities to see where the gaps are in terms of their state of readiness to be able to accommodate and assimilate certain innovative solutions to especially address service delivery concerns. And the aim is that we are then able to make sure that the dividends of science, technology, and innovation can be felt at local government level, which is actually where it is much more needed. And this program is being implemented also in support of the district development model, which again, is nationwide. Thanks.
Thank you. CFO, please deal with the issues related to SCM and internal controls.
Thanks, DG, and thanks, members, with the comments. The issues AG raised with regard to internal controls in the SCM environment relate to our entities. They raised issues with regard to the CSIR, NRF, where they raised irregular expenditures. And also they raised issues with regard to TIA. It's also what was requested by AG, that we need to provide commitments to AG. So on a quarterly basis, we have requested the entities to provide us with regular reporting on how they address all these areas that AG had raised. And then we will also be sharing those commitments or those status updates with regard to those areas with the committee. And with regard to, I think Honorable Duplessis wanted to know what do we do with regard to slow spending under PWD. We have been having challenges with procurement from people with disabilities for a number of years. Our spending was at the region of 2% of the spend. It has significantly improved, as members would have seen. We are over 4% now. And I must say, for the current year, the improvement is even quite significant. At some stage, we had a discussion with Department of Women and People with Disabilities on how they can help us if they do have a list of companies that are owned by these categories. Although they did not come forth, but through our procurement processes, we are improving in terms of spending from these categories. We are able to give them work, although it is still a challenge because most of them they are not registered on our CSD. And whether the companies that we procure from them are going concern, all companies that we procure from them must be registered on the CSD. And the requirement for a company to be registered on the CSD are quite strenuous. They are quite strict because they need to register with CIPRO. They must submit their annual financial statement, or their business it's annual financial statement. They must be registered with SARS, and there's quite a number of things that they need for them to be registered on CSD. And we don't use any service provider who is not registered on CSD. So that is a safeguard to us in terms of the companies that we use to ensure that they are duly registered, they comply with all the rules. And we know that they comply with the rules, and we comply with the rules. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Maybe Didi please respond on the negative impact of the late approval of NRF and SACNA's APPs. DG Zwana, are you in?
Yes, DG, I'm in. Apologies. Good afternoon, portfolio select committee members. I don't have a good line. May I please switch off my video? The negative impact in terms of the late approvals would be that we failed to meet the regulations in terms of treasury that requires to submit within a particular time. That becomes noted in terms of audits. However, because of the unusual situation which we're facing in terms of the MTDP being approved a bit late, that is also noted by AG. We do give the reasons, but it is something that we're gonna be working on going forward. What helps is that we do not have another similar occurrence that we are foreseeing in the upcoming years up until the end of term, unless there are huge changes. But it would be something that we manage better, and we are engaging the entities in terms of demonstrating the importance of submitting on time. Though this time we would take a bit of a responsibility, as well as we had these major changes in terms of the MTDP that was coming in. However, the fact that other entities had managed to submit on time, it just shows that there's better planning that is required moving forward. But it's something that we are engaging with the entities in that regard. Thanks, DG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I hope the team was able to answer all the questions that were raised. We'll be happy to take further comments if the Chair so wishes. Thank you very much.
No, thanks, Honorable DG. But the question on the grassroots innovators was not, to me, properly expatiated on how the monitoring is being done.
Okay. DG Mope, please just respond directly to the Chair's question.
How the monitoring of what? Of the grassroots innovators?
Yes, to transiting to commercial enterprises.
Yeah, so the monitoring is done by the reporting that they do quarterly and on an annual basis. So we kind of see what are the challenges that they are experiencing. So we do have meetings where we get reflections and events where they come and they present the challenges. So we keep our tabs, and then ultimately the tracing that we do over a period of time then enables us to come back and check which ones are actually falling off, because some of them actually do ultimately fail. They are not always successful, and that's really the nature of the business that we are in. We are funding them to make it, but our ongoing reporting actually gives us a sense of which ones are making it and which ones we then completely stop funding because we can see that they are not going anywhere.
Okay, so maybe Chair, if the answer remains not what the Chair would have expected, would still be happy to respond in writing to other questions that might have been posed and maybe we're not adequately responding to them.
Yes, I was going to plead, DG, that we can receive all the necessary questions that honorable members have raised, and also on the question of comments, just to formulate, and further expatiate it in writing. Then we can receive them probably within 7 days, if it's 7 days will suffice in order for us to further engage, and then also further engagement around the what the Honorable Minister was, raised on the question of our visit. As we promised the Minister, but the necessary logistical arrangements can be done between the department and also the office. We will appreciate that. Thank you very much, DJ.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to honorable members. Thank you.
Yes, both. Also, we must also appreciate and thank the AG. With the Tara and capacitating report, which is informative indeed, because these reports are necessary in order, as it has been highlighted in terms of Section 188, that it's assisting us, to strengthen, our mandate, and also it enables us to do our oversight. So we appreciate it, and also the question of accountability in this instance. I think we've been there in ensuring that we follow the necessary legislative regulations. Thank you very much, the AG. You are also released, and the department, the DG and your collective, we are also released. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes. Honorable members, I think we've concluded. We're concluding our agenda. Is there anything that we are leaving behind, as Mr. Kula?
Yes, Chair. Mr. Dr. Mtombeni wants to speak with honorable members with regards to the oversight report. We will just like a few minutes to talk about it.
Thank you very much. The floor is yours to talk. You are also welcomed. You can proceed.
Good morning, good afternoon, Chairperson, and good afternoon, honorable members. I won't take too much of your time, except for the fact that I just want to share that Andisa has shared the report with the honorable members. The report is close to 70 pages long. So because honorable members were going on oversight last week and the week before, we decided to extend the adoption of the report by another 7 days. So next week, Tuesday, we will consider the report for adoption. Honorable members are more than welcome to interrogate the report, and feel free to either email me or even put it on the WhatsApp group on the information that you feel we didn't add to the report and must still be on the report. We can do that during the course of this week, and then next week, Tuesday, when honorable members are happy, we can adopt the report. I think the most important thing on that report is the recommendations that are provided to the department in the Eastern Cape, as well as the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. The recommendations have dates on them as to when the department as well as the municipality must act on them or on the issues that were raised during the oversight. So it's important that honorable members go through those recommendations, and if members are happy with those recommendations, and then we can definitely adopt the report next week, Tuesday. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Honorable members, I think it is information on how we are proceeding. The information is there. The only thing that we need to do is to just go back and reflect if there are any issues that we feel that they are being left outside of the report. Is critical for us, so that when we are adopting that report becomes our Bible, becomes our collective report. When we are adopting it, no one must question, and it's an opportune time for us to engage it now. So honorable members, you will do so. There is nothing that is left in terms of the agenda now. I don't see the minutes, Mr. Kula.
No, we'll do the minutes next week, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Kula. So, honorable members, I think we have concluded our business for today until we meet next week. However, I must emphasize on this question of our visit, Mr. Kula. Can you lead us on that one, ensuring that we honor the invite by the Honorable Minister, and also just the question of follow-ups to one of our members who is hospitalized, just to check the seriousness. Remember, who are crisscrossing the country, so we need all the soldiers to be ready for the task. So we will do that, so that if there is any need, I mean, our support is here, our moral support, but if there is any further support, we can provide it to our honorable member. Thank you very much, honorable members. The meeting is adjourned. The meeting is adjourned, honorable members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.